Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to What We Talk About. This is episode 8, and today we're going to be touching up on something that we talked about in a previous episode, except it's going to be more in depth. We're going into it talking about relationship advice. It's me, my boy Eachother, my boy Kumbi.
And today we have our special guest. She's had the privilege to be married to me for 6 years, known me for 11 years. She gets to kiss these luscious lips goodnight every night. Gets to cuddle me to bed and tuck me in every night. My wife, Val.
What's up, y'all?
Yeah, there we go.
No clap from you.
Hey man, what the heck?
Earned it.
Goddamn disrespect.
Disrespect. What's the first question that comes to people's mind when you think about relationship advice?
Well, we can start there. That's why we brought her on the show. The reason she's our guest is because we're talking about relationships and
Marriage.
I guess
The issues,
just
the ins and outs.
Yeah, just advice for couples or somebody who's not even in a relationship yet but is like looking for the one. Like, just kind of advice from people who've kind of been in it, which is in 2021, where it's like harder to keep relationships going. Divorce rates are at the highest they've ever been. So, we're gonna try to give some insight to our relationship on.
Yeah.
What the hell do you think's so funny? Keep going, just kidding. Anyways, we're gonna try to give some insight on our relationship, and then anybody who's like watching at home could watch this because like it could be like your own personal therapy or advice that you could look up because
For sure.
shit, when I have questions, what's the first thing I do most of the time? Go to YouTube and go how to how to keep relationship in 2021, how to spice up my relationship in 2021.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's uncomfortable sometimes too to like a lot of people don't like to talk to other people about it. It's an uncomfortable situation and it's like, what can I say that's too much? What can I say that's going too far? Like, can I really tell them all about this? Is it going to make me feel weird? Is it going to make them feel weird? So I think sometimes being able to just look it up on your own is just kind of nice to...
Yeah, I was thinking like, if Google went away, how would I Google what happened to Google?
What made you think that?
Because I always look stuff up on Google. I'm like, what happens if Google's not here anymore? Who do we go to? We go to Val.
Yeah, basically.
What do I do in my relationship? Yeah, pretty much. Well, what's the number one issue in relationships now?
I think honestly it's communication. I think if you have really good communication with your partner, that cuts out a lot of issues that you could potentially have or issues that you currently have. A lot of times, there's a problem and some people have the instinct to either fight or flight. Like sometimes people avoid. They know that there's an issue, but they're so afraid of their relationship not working or breaking up or divorce that they just kind of... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I had to. I should have done this before.
I just feel like some people avoid because they don't want, the outcome. They don't want the argument.
We have another special guest, Amara.
So anyways, I feel like a lot of people try and avoid just because of, they don't want that argument. They just prefer to just leave it alone. But when you do that, it builds up so much that you have, all this animosity towards your partner. You're angry. You just avoid it to the point where it's all of a sudden one day you're just done. And then there's the other people that, you just Like me, honestly, if there's something going on, like I'll nag and nag and nag until like I can push it out. Like, what is your problem today? Like, I need to know. It's gonna bother me. It's gonna nag at me until I get it out. So, but sometimes when you do that too, I feel like sometimes you have the potential to go overboard. Like, you're pushing, and you don't realize you're pushing your partner to their breaking point. So you're trying to push so that you don't get to that breaking point, but you gotta know when to kind of give in a little bit, I think. But I think that's the biggest thing, is just being able to communicate with each other and tell each other how you're feeling, what you're wanting out of the relationship, what you feel like you're lacking sometimes. Yeah, what do you think?
You're like, I don't.
He doesn't like communicating.
Yeah. I think there is a barrier because, like I said, I don't like to communicate. Like, I'm not an emotional person, so I don't like to sit here and talk about my feelings. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, you know, we've been together for 11 years, and I still hate, like, when you do that, because you'll be like, what's your deal today? And I don't want to talk about my deals. I got an issue.
And then I'll be like,
leave it at that.
Okay, well, what's the issue? What is the problem? I need to know.
Yeah, so.
But still, yeah, I think that the biggest probably problem in relationships is not having communication. Because even if, you know, he comes to me and says, you know, I'm just having some issues today, that I'm like, all right, cool. But if he weren't to tell me that and he was like, oh, nothing, but then he acts all mad all day, then I'm like, now I'm mad. Now all of his bad energy is on me, or my bad energy is on him, and now we're both upset. You know, that's not healthy for each other. That's not healthy for our children. Like, you know, everyone's entitled to a bad day, and I think if you just say that out in the first place, I'm having a bad day, then at least you know where your partner's at, and you can try and either help them or you can kind of give them space if that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Action.
Ooh, smooth.
What? What the heck?
Action.
I'm gonna be a pro.
Alright, so, yeah, I was gonna say, like, so basically, it sounds to me like, in essence, it's about using, like, the fight or flight response and knowing how to use it. Because, like, if you're too much to one side, like me, I'm probably more like the fight side, because I tend to ask a lot of questions too, and I don't like to just let things go, which is really hard for me to do. I don't know why. And because of that, maybe I fight back too much, or use that fight response, rather than, like, letting it be and then just kind of moving on.
I don't think necessarily. I think a lot of people do the fight or flight, but I don't think that's what you should do. I think that you should stay pretty neutral in the middle and don't fight or flight. Sit there together as a couple, figure out what the problem actually is. Like, why are you being like this today? Where did this come from? It doesn't just come out of nowhere. Figuring out what that problem is, and then figuring out your next step. What are we going to do to get over this problem? What are we going to do to get over this obstacle that's in our way, so that we can move past this together, versus, you know, one of us is fighting, the other one's flighting, or both of us are fighting. That's not going to fix the issue, not the core issue that's going on. So I feel like sometimes, while it's really easy to get really upset and just start, you know, trying to argue, I feel like once you do take a deep breath, then you're like, okay, what's the actual issue here? Am I the issue? Is he the issue?
Right, like you gotta step back a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of look at the both of you and look at, like, yourselves to try to figure out, and, you know, the situation, or, like, gauge the way you're acting or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should probably do that more. I do that sometimes, but I also think, from what I've noticed, like, in my relationship, is you gotta think about how selfish you are.
Oh yeah.
And kind of, and then think about the other person. and see if it's balanced or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like, in my own experience, like, I'm not gonna lie, Alex is way more selfish than I am, and he recognizes that. But just that right
Oh.
but that right there, he already recognizes it. Like, that's one of the biggest things that he's like, he tells me, like, Val, I wish you were more selfish. Like, I wish you would do more things for yourself because you deserve it. While he, will do something selfishly for himself, which is fine. You gotta be two different people, have your own hobbies and whatnot. But when you do have another person, you kind of do have to think about them in everything that you do. You don't have to always have them next to you or include them in everything you're doing, but you do have to keep them in mind when you're doing certain things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking this extra time away from her. How am I going to feel about it? How's she going to feel about it? Just thinking, keeping the other person in mind and keeping their, I guess, trying to think about what I'm trying to say. Like, thinking about how they're going to feel when you have certain actions that you're planning to do.
Like
and
having their best interest.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can't just think about yourself all the time. It's no different than when you start having kids. You can't be you all the time. You have to start thinking about other people and how your actions are going to start affecting other people. So.
For sure.
But I do want to say there has to be a balance.
For sure.
So can I be over selfish?
Honestly, I think me and my fiance are the same.
But
I'm pretty positive I'm the more selfish one.
But
Pretty positive.
that's because, like, I don't know, like,
True.
before I joined, like, got into a relationship, like, I've always been a huge believer of, like, the whole idea of, like, how can you take care of others if you don't take care of yourself first? Like, that's always been my thought process since I was growing up, and then, like, the whole thing of, like, how can you fully give somebody else, like, all of your love if you don't fully love yourself and fully understand yourself? So, like, that's why a lot of the times I'm like that, where I'm like, I want to be selfish because I want to try to fucking cops are here.
Cops. Oh man.
You gonna break or keep going?
Let's just keep going.
Just keep going.
Keep going.
It's tough.
Anyways, but yeah, I think that's why you have to be selfish a little bit, because I'm like, if you're fully just like, you have nothing for yourself and you do everything for somebody else, then I'm like, who are you? You're not even your own person anymore. So it's like, at that point, if you're not even your own person, how do you have the capability to give all of your love or give everything you have to, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, I feel like you have to be selfish so that you still are your own individual person. Because I believe two strong individuals create one great couple versus, like, we're both so engulfed in each other that our whole life is about each other, and I just don't think that. I think that's the fairy tale, that's the movies you see. Where, like, their entire lives are engulfed with each other, and it's like everything they do is each other, and it's all about each other, and I'm like, to me that's just unrealistic. And if you have that kind of mindset going into it, you've failed already. Where it's like, you have to go in understanding this is gonna be imperfect. This is not perfect. There's gonna be issues. I have to be selfish for me and for her. So by being selfish, I'm being unselfish.
Let's go spend money.
But I mean, like,
Go buy stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, like, and there is going overboard, which I can do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Same here.
But he recognizes it, and I think that's the biggest thing is, like, he recognizes in himself that, yeah, I was being selfish. Like, that's on me. Like, what can I do now to fix this issue? And with me, it's like, for so long, he likes to think that I'm selfless, because I do. A lot of times the kids need this, he needs this, and I'm starting to do all these things. And sometimes you do start, like, losing yourself, and then you're like, well, what do I want to do today? What if it's just me alone in a room? What am I going to do with myself? Who am I? And I feel like, you got to take that on and do something for yourself. Me? I go shopping personally. Love to blow some money. It is what it is. So, but it's nice to have a partner there that can remind you, you need to take some time for yourself. Like, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing, but you need to take some time for yourself, and you need to do something for yourself. Just to kind of, it's nice to have that little reminder that you need to also take care of yourself, because you can't, and I'm a huge believer in that too, you can't take care of everyone else if you're not taking care of yourself. And I think it's easier said than done sometimes, because sometimes it is like you start losing track of, dude, I've been doing everything for everyone all week. And then it's like, all right, I need to take a step back, and did I not have that time to take for myself? Or did I just not take the time that was available to take for myself?
Mm.
So, yeah.
So speaking of time, how do you guys manage your relationship with work? Like different schedules, having different days off, working different hours. Like, how do you guys go through that?
I think before we had kids, like
It was a lot easier.
definitely a lot easier before we had kids. We just, if he was working in the evening, I would, go there, take him lunch, have lunch with him, just try and be there for each other to make up for that time that we are losing, because, working a full-time job, you're at work all day long. Now that we do have kids, I feel like we've got it down to a pretty good science.
Mm.
So if he's working in the evening, I'm like, okay, I need to get the kids, cook dinner, maybe sometimes take him some dinner. Sometimes before I head home, I'll go and take him a Java, just to let him know, like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I want to make sure that you at least ate something, drank something today. You're good. And we just kind of, when we do have a free minute, text each other, good morning. It's the simplest things. Saying good morning to each other in the morning, saying, hey, how's your day going? Like, how's work? Sometimes it's nice to know, like, hey, he's there, and if I'm having a rough day, like, I can tell him, like, today's kind of bullshit. And then he'll, make me feel better about it, and vice versa. So I think, again, it all goes back to communication. We just make sure we're communicating with each other, and make sure that we're, letting each other know that even though we're not physically there, we're there if we need each other. And it's easy to lean on each other, too, with everything.
Yeah. Well, I think, too, it's like, don't look at it as a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's most likely not permanent if you're working opposite schedules. Because when I used to work, at my last job before that, that's how it was. You worked evenings, I worked mornings. So it was like, I got off at 2, you went in at 1:30. And you would always work till 9:30, I had to work at 6. So it's like, I didn't really want to stay up till midnight every night just to hang out for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it was tough, but at the same time, like I said, it's not always a bad thing, because that time that you're not together allows you to grow yourself.
Yeah.
So like the times that she's at work, I have time to do what I want to do, like work out, play video games, all that kind of stuff. It gives me the time to do that, so that when she is home, I can be 100% focused on her. Because like, I'm sure I speak for every single like guy that like when you're at home with your girl, and like it's a blast, but when you start like every day, all day, it's always doing that, and you don't have time to go play some video games, you don't have time to go, I don't know, hang out with your friends or whatever, and it's always just the same thing every day with hanging out with each other. It starts to get tiresome, and then you start becoming like you're there, but you're not fully there. You know what I mean? Like mentally, you're sitting here itching, and you're just like, fuck, I wish I could be on some games right now. Like, fuck. And you're in your head, you're just sitting there thinking like, man, I could be tearing it up right now on Fortnite. Shit. And you start getting itchy, and then like after a longer time, like more days of the same stuff, itchy becomes agitated becomes frustrated, and then it starts getting to the point where it's like, little things start to bug you about that person, where it's like, I've gone 2 weeks and I haven't had time to do something I want to do, and we've just been always doing this stuff together, watching movies together, or going and doing this together, or shopping together, and all that kind of stuff. And then it gets to the point where you just like start snapping at each other for little things.
Hang on. You don't go shopping.
But then you start getting agitated. So then it's like, sometimes when that happens with me, she'll ask small things. She'll be like, "Oh, can you refill my cup of water?" And I'm just like, you were up 5 minutes ago. You should have refilled your own damn cup of water. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
I
not
get
real.
frustrated.
He would never.
Like, oh, bull, dude. Like, you just start getting frustrated. Like, little things like that just start to agitate you. Because then you start thinking of those kind of things. You know?
And like he's probably thinking that in his head, because I know he's never said like that to me. But but I can see it on his face, and you can start seeing when your partner is agitated and is starting to get in a mood. Because it's same as me, like, I mean, yesterday, for example, I had the day off, and I was itching to get out, just wanted to get out and do something. It was nice outside, it was, you know, I wanted to get out and do something. And he was like, well, I don't have to go until 2. I thought we were going to just kind of hang out until I had to go into work. So then I was sitting here, and he was kind of playing Fortnite, and then I was like, did you want to hang out, or did you want me to just be here? And he was like, yeah, no, it feels comfortable with your presence. And it's like, okay, so you want me here just because you feel more comfortable?
Just at your disposal.
So, okay.
Hey, we're all guilty of that.
And I'm definitely guilty too. Sometimes I'm like, I want to go shopping, but I want him to go with me. Even though I know he hates it, it's just nice to have his presence there. It's comfortable. Sometimes at night when I'm tired, he's not quite tired yet, like, you better believe he better bring his ass to bed, because it's comfortable for me. Then I can fall asleep. Then I can have a good night's sleep.
That's so crazy to me how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like me and my girl is the same way. Like I'm always like, babe, I want you to get into these games with me. Like, let's start playing Fortnite. Just come hang out. And if she actually plays or not, is up to her. Do I really care? Not really. I just want her there. I just want her to watch it. I'm like, babe, check this out.
Yeah, I even caught him one time. I was like, you know.
Isn't that funny? I'm like,
I was like, do you actually, because he was like, you know, I just wish you would learn to play Fortnite. I'm like, okay, teach me.
He's like, after this round.
No,
He was like, well,
not on my level. If you're gonna bring down my rating on Fortnite, I can't have that.
Exactly.
My TNR rating. I'm trying to bring it up. Like,
he was like,
After I bring it up, not down.
well, we're gonna have to make you another account because, like, my account, you know, it's on a certain level. And okay, so make this account then.
oh boy.
And then he was like, well, you have to do
I
this,
gotta pay
this,
a
and
monthly
that.
subscription to
And a monthly
PlayStation.
subscription. If you're not really into it, then it's kind of a waste.
All the details.
So did you want me to learn how to play, or did you just want me to be with you while you play? And then he joked about, I should get you a computer chair so you can sit right next to me while I'm playing video games. So I think it's just a comfortability, which I completely relate to, but I do it in my own way. You know, with guys, it's you just want your girl there while you're playing video games. For girls, it's I want to go shopping and I want you to be right there, right next to me while I'm looking at all of these lacy shirts and short shorts and girl shit that you don't care about. So I think it's just a comfortability thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we do the same thing. It's nice to know if it's that, like, common, I think, between, like, just, like, you guys and me and my girlfriend. I'm pretty sure a lot of people that are watching probably got a good laugh out of that because they probably do the exact same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But you just have to recognize it. Because after I played Fortnite, I did have to go to work, but then she went shopping. So
I was like, you know, he wanted to sit there and play Fortnite. I was like, you know what? Sometimes, you know, you want to be able to do the things you want to do in your own home. And sometimes, yeah, I'm like, God, I don't want to sit here and play Fortnite again. But then it's like, okay, he has to go to work tonight, so yeah, play Fortnite. I'll just sit here and scroll, do whatever, do Amara's hair, you know, just kind of be here because he needs it for his comfortability. Just like he'll put off playing video games at night so that he can come and lay in bed so that it's fulfilling my comfortability. So I think it's a give and take.
Yeah, give and get.
And it's just like, you know, I told him, like, so I'm kind of in a mood. I just want to go shopping. He's like, you should do it. Go do it. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to. So I think it's just, you have to really read each other and kind of.
Yep. And a lot of people might be like, so you let your girl go shopping, whoop-de-doo, but it's like for me too, because it's like.
Well, you don't let
I don't
me. I just.
Well.
So let's. clear that
But no, like, dude, I'm a stickler with money. Like, it's super weird. We could have like a crap ton of extra money, but I'm just like super like stickler about it. Like,
He gets in
I
these
think
weird
about-
moods where he wants to like, let's go shopping, let's go buy these things, and then all of a sudden he's like, what extra money? And it's like,
Dude.
like what?
well, like I don't know, dude. I think very irrationally. Like I'm super rational, but the way that I get to the rational part of it is super irrational. So it's like, cause like I'll sit there in my head and like for example, like if she wants to buy a shirt, in my head I'm like, you have 400 shirts in the closet. Why do you need a brand new shirt? What does the new shirt serve? Like you need to give me a detail as to what this new shirt is going to provide you that is worth the $25 you're trying to spend on a new shirt. Because $25 could get a lot of things. Your gas tank costs almost $29 to fill up, so $25 could almost fill up your gas. And
Yeah.
that could save us next time you have to fill up your gas. So I sit there and I think of all those things.
Plus, if you use a credit card, you get 5% back, and then you pay it off right after. So it's actually only $20. So you're saving 10.
So like I sit there and like I'll think of all these stupid irrational ways of like saving money, and then it's like, yeah.
And then I'll turn around and see the bank account and I'll be like, is this you buying stuff off Wish and PlayStation? Did you buy yourself some more V-Bucks? Was that you? He's just like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. But again, it's another thing of communication. I sit there and I say, you know, well, I have a full-time job too. I make money too. I make my own money. So I think that a lot of times I feel like, you know, not to man bash or anything, but I feel like a lot of times a lot of men feel like they're in control and they have to be in control. And it's kind of like, okay, well, recognize that your wife or your girlfriend is independent. She can provide for herself. She does make her own money. And just like you spend what money you want, she has every right to spend what money she wants within reason. But again, that's why you have to communicate. Like, you know, I don't go out and blow all of our savings. I spend within a reasonable amount of money, but I think it's
It's the neighbors.
Our neighbors are very loud.
yeah. So I feel like a lot of times, you know, he will sit back and recognize like, oh, she does make her own money. She does work full time. She can support herself. This money is every bit mine as it is his. So also when he buys things, I don't question it. I don't sit here and say, well, why are you spending all this money?
Yeah.
We both work hard. We deserve it. If we want to get something, we should get it. And sometimes he's a lot more conservative with money and he'll be like, I don't know, I don't think we should do it. But he does it with his own things too. And then I have to sit there and remind him, okay, well, I appreciate your input and I appreciate your concern, but I am going to buy this. Like, we have the money. It's not going to be putting any financial burden on us. I've thought it over. I'm going to do it. You know, take each other's opinion into consideration and really respect each other's opinion, I think.
Honestly, like, listening to you guys talk about this, I feel like it's an exact replica of me and Kenya. Because I have that same tendency where Kenya might be trying to buy something and I question her about it. Okay, why? What is it for? How much does it cost? Did you Google it? Did you find reviews? Are you getting the best bang for your buck? Because I'm very like that. Like when I spend my money on stuff, I do it myself too. I like to make sure that I'm getting the absolute best for the amount of money I'm spending on something. And I try to not be like that because I feel like when it comes to my stuff, I spend freely. I'm not gonna lie. and so I notice, because I try to like apply that concept you were talking about earlier, where you look at yourself from the outside, and I think I'm confident in my own spending. Why is it I don't approach her with that same confidence when she wants to buy something? So I try to like let her like do her thing sometimes, and just I don't even question it. Sometimes I'm like, go for it, babe. Or like if I buy something, I'm like, babe, if you want anything, go find it. And then like she's not as selfish as me, so she's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, babe, let's go look.
It almost
While
makes
find
you feel
something that
bad
you
if she
need.
doesn't get something, huh?
Yeah, I like even the playing field. And because of that, sometimes maybe we go overboard, and then like our spending habits, they just go crazy, and then we're not in a good situation. But I try to be kind of a stickler about it too, just because you gotta be smart too. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have kids yet, but I'm sure when that day comes, we'll both have to, like,
Oh yeah, when we found out I was pregnant, we hunkered down and like really just like saved all this money because we were like, we gotta start thinking logically. We can't just, just blow our money here and there. Which we've
crazy.
Always been pretty, we've always made sure that we have a safety net for each other. But I think you need to have the same amount of trust in your spending. Like the trust that you have in your spending, you need to have in your partner's spending too.
For sure.
I mean, unless they're definitely going overboard, but you have to have that conversation. Like, he's had that conversation, like, makes me nervous when you go shopping. I don't know if you're gonna spend $1,000 or $100. I mean, it kind of makes you uneasy, and it's like I sat there and I was like, what would I be out buying for $1,000? Like you really think that in your head that I would go with that overboard?
Right.
But maybe he does have that unsettlety in his mind where he gets nervous. Like, maybe I might, because I do like shopping, but you got to have trust and bring up those concerns. Like, just you should definitely do something for yourself, but let's try and come up with a budget together for it. Or when you're going over the bills, let's sit down and do the bills together. I think what helped us too is before we were even married, which a lot of people probably might say is stupid, we shared one bank account together and we paid our bills out of one bank account. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm paying the bigger bill here, you're just paying a little $200 internet bill. We were paying everything together. Our money was together. Right. And in the beginning, like, it was me making more than him. So it wasn't so much, but sometimes when he felt like he was going to control, then it was like, okay, take a step back. Like, I never bring this up, but at this time I'm making more than you. So why do you get to have all the say? I know that I make more than you, but I don't want all the say. I think it should be an evenly thing. Then he started making more than me, and then it was like, it still needs to be even. Who cares that he's making like triple what I am? It needs to be fair.
I think you just have to find a middle ground too, because like I said, like I'm so stickler that like I pull up every day, I check my calculator, my bank account, and I calculate all the extra money I have, and I have it on my calculator. So I'm like, anytime she spends any money, I'm like, you need to text it to me so I can subtract it from my calculator. Like,
and when I don't, he gets upset.
Where I'm at with money every single time. And when she
does shoot, I forgot to text
some
him.
of those arguments will happen because that, like, I'll look at the bank, because I'll check it like every day, and I'll see like a $5 charge at a gas station or something, or Java, and I'm just like, and like I'll text him like, hey, you plan on texting me about your $5 charge at Java today?
I just gotta be a smart ass, so I'll be like, no, I didn't plan on it. If you already saw it on the bank account, then why did I need to text you?
So, but yeah, I'm like...
Even when I went shopping, though, and he was like, were you gonna text me the totals? Oh, I have it on my calculator. I'm ready. And he was just like, I was like, can you pass me that receipt, though? Because I need to add it into this so that I know the full total that we need to subtract from, our leftover money. And he's just like, well, you can just look at it on the bank account. Oh, weird. You can just look at it on our bank account.
But I'm also like,
honestly,
you spent the money, and I asked you to text me, so you should have texted it to me. So that's how I played it.
On a side note, if you guys had your own business, you would be great at running it as far as like the financial side of it goes, in for tax purposes.
Yeah.
But anyways, I actually had a question for both of you. Like, I want to know what you guys think about this. I feel like when it comes to, like financially, what me and my girlfriend spend money on, I feel like this would help, as far as like me having confidence in her spending and her having confidence in mine, is because like when I decide I want something, I have a million reasons for it, because I feel like as she needs to know why I feel like this is a good decision. And sometimes, I don't know if it's just us or if it's a bunch of other people, maybe you guys are like this too, I don't know. But sometimes I feel like when my girlfriend wants to buy something, her reasons are very simple, like, oh yeah, I need it. Or just, I don't know, just something like, oh, I need it for this. And in order for me to feel like I don't have to question somebody, I like to hear like this. Give me the spill on it. Like, okay, why do you need it? And kind of like what I went back to earlier. Like, I like to hear the whole thing, and I feel like it'd be so easy for me if she would just rant about it, like whatever she wants. Because when I talk about something I want, I talk about it like all day long, and I have a bajillion reasons. You know, like what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that's something you guys try to do with each other, or
I don't think
how do you guys approach
so.
that?
Like, I would say when he wants something, he'll like extensively research it and be like, "Am I getting the best thing?" I am more like, today I feel like going and get my nails done. I just feel like it, and it's not so much like he doesn't need a reason though, because if he trusts that I'm going to do something for myself, he looks at it as I'm trying to do something for myself. All day long I'm doing stuff for him.
Right.
And now he's like, she's trying to take something back for herself. So who am I to question it? As long as you're staying within that budget. And I think that's the important thing, is not so much questioning why you're buying certain things. Because he wishes I would question him sometimes. Because I'll be like, your PlayStation? Sounds like it's going to blow up. Let's go get a new one? Like, let's go. I'm always down to be like, you work so hard. Let's get you whatever you want. And he looks at it the same way with me. It's like, I work hard. I should get what I want as well. But I think sometimes he's more of, okay, this is what you want. Let's work it into our budget. And I'm kind of probably more of an impulse, like, let's just get up and do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
But even when I want something, like, he starts doing it himself. Like, oh, she wants a camera so she can start doing photography. Let me start researching these cameras that might be best for her.
Right.
So he's not, questioning why I'm buying it. He's helping me decide on the best one I should buy.
For sure.
So, and sometimes too, I think that he will research and he'll be like, I'm thinking about getting this because of it has X, Y, and Z. And like how you're saying all of your reasons as to why you need to buy it. And he'll bring that up to me, and it's like, okay, are you trying to convince me why you need it, or are you trying to convince yourself that you actually want it?
Right. I think I do the same thing. Because I feel like the thing with money is when you spend it, you feel like you're doing something. Like you feel like you accomplished something. Like, dude, I went and bought this today. Okay, but what is that actually like doing for you? Mm-hmm. Right? Because like I have like a home studio, and I went to school for audio engineering, which costs a lot of money. Thank goodness that right now I don't have to pay for it because of like, the COVID thing. So I don't have to make any payments till September, which is nice. But that was like $20,000 for 1 year of schooling, and then all this equipment that I got. And if I'm being real here, like how much money have I really made from it? Like a fraction of what I paid for it, right? So sometimes I think like when I'm trying to buy more gear, I feel like this will help me a lot. If I get this, I can do this. Like, can I? Or can I already do that? I'm just trying to like justify buying it.
Buying something else, yeah. For sure. And I think that's the thing, is like we both recognize maybe this month isn't a good time. Kids are about to start school. Kids are about to start daycare. They need all these supplies, need new clothes. Like, you have to put the important things ahead of your hobby sometimes, which it kind of sucks, but that's what adulting is. But not so much so that you don't get to go and enjoy that money you're working so hard to make every day. Like that,
Right.
You got to still treat yourself, if you will. But you have to do it within a certain means. Come up with a budget that you're both like, okay, this is what we can spend this month, and try and stick to that. We had an issue for a while where we just kept eating out, and it wasn't about not spending the money so much as it is we're starting to eat really unhealthy, and I feel unhealthy. You start feeling, kind of bleh every day. So we were like, okay, let's come up, instead of being like, oh, we'll only eat out twice during this 2 weeks. Let's come up with a budget for eating out and try not to exceed that.
Right.
Or, well, what did we do? Like, it was Java. We were going to Java like basically every day. Just drinking Java every day. So we were like, we need to slow down and stop, because if you add up all that money at the end of the year, it's significant.
Oh yeah, that's like
so
$300 a month.
we started being like, all right, Java's usually like $16 ish when we buy it for all four of us. So we'll say, all right, well, we get, average about $60 a week to spend on random things like Java or gas station or drinks here and there or going to pick me up and
Cool.
things like that. And then we're like, oh shoot, we went to 65. Hey, that's a pretty good day. We only went $5 over.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if we wouldn't have put that goal there, we would have probably went to Java every single day versus
Seriously.
only going 3 days out of the 7 days. So
Yeah.
cut it completely in half, which was better for our health, better for our bank account for sure. And it also set a goal there that we were like, okay, we got to be more conscious of what we are doing. And checked each other on it too, like, nah, we're already at 60, we probably shouldn't. And then it's like, all right, this last one, we'll still be in the ballpark, but no more after that.
I like how you guys are very detailed with it.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I used to be super, super detailed, like down to the last penny. And then like, I don't know, I just got to a point where there's a buffer now. So
And
I'll
he's
budget like
definitely
for the
more
month.
than I am, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of like
Yeah.
a numbers in my head. He's like, I have to have it on my calculator down to the very penny. But I think it's good because that balance keeps us in check. Like, hey, Fal, this is, we'll go through the bills together. This is what we have left over after bills this month. Okay. Try and not spend more than a fourth of it. Then guess what? That chunk of money that's left over when you're, next month, you can put straight into your savings account. You know how fast that builds up your savings account? And so it's like, okay, let's try to not spend more than half of what we have left over. That way, that half we can put towards this. That half
Seriously.
we can put towards things we do want, things we do need, emergencies, things like that. So I think we just kind of work with each other. But I think, there was a point where he was writing down all the bills. He was separating it all out and organizing it. And then he would just kind of tell me, well, this is what we have. And I'd be like, okay. And then I would do whatever I want. And then he would kind of get frustrated, like, dude, the whole point was we were supposed to at least have half.
Mm-hmm.
And now we just blew through it doing X, Y, and Z. And it's like, well, yeah, because you told me that that's what we had. So, but I didn't think of it as that's what we have. Let's try not to spend more than half of it. I thought of it as, this is extra money. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So, but once he sat down and was like, I wish you would really start participating in this so that you know where we're at, it made me feel better because then I was like, it does make me, what if he's not around one day?
Mm-hmm.
I got to figure it out on my own. So now it's like, sometimes I take the roles that he is in our everyday life at home and I try to say like, could I do that myself? What do I need to do to make sure I can do that myself?
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. Like, if I'm doing something, he sits there and is like, okay, like our daughter's hair, for instance. Like, he watched videos to try and figure out how to do it because if he wants to also be involved, feel like he's trying to contribute in some way, even if
Right.
contribute in every way or in some way towards everything that each other's doing. With support, trying to help out yourself so it's one less thing the other person has to do. I think it takes off a lot of stress and you start really realizing how much you really appreciate that other person.
Oh yeah, when you start taking action that they normally take,
Mm-hmm.
like cooking. I don't cook very often, but I can see a steak. You know what I mean? Thanks to what's the guy's name?
Gordon Ramsay?
Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, that guy knows how to teach you how to cook. So
It's just different when you have to cook for yourself. It's not as good.
yeah, I definitely realize that she puts effort into it like every day. You know what I mean? Because I hardly cook, and so when I do, like, I start to notice things that I think she could use. I'm like, babe, we gotta get you new pans. Those pans fucking suck. They're like warped and shit. I'm like, babe, how come you haven't told me about this? Like, I didn't know. I'm not the one who cooks. So I bought her a new pan. It's freaking way better. Our stove sucks. I'm like ready to call my landlord, like, hey man, you gotta do something about this. And you're not gonna come over here and tap on it and tell me, oh, it's good. You're gonna replace it, buddy. Like, I can't just stop midway through boiling my water and tap on it. Come on, bro.
So you would say that you recognize the things that she tries to do for you, and you appreciate it. So you try and do things that'll help her make it easier for her.
Yeah.
In ways like extra pans or making sure that she has the equipment she needs.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever, vocalize it? Like, I really appreciate the fact that you're making dinner. Like, oh, dinner's so good tonight. Like, you're the best.
I actually think that's something I'm really good at.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really good at, like, trying to show appreciation, I think, like, through words. But sometimes I don't like that about myself because I feel like when you oversay something, it becomes meaningless. So sometimes I feel like maybe I say it too much and it doesn't have that same meaning that it used to. So I stopped saying it.
Kiss too much ass, it loses the flavor, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's true, 100%.
funny.
I think, too, if you are saying something the same, same thing to the same person every day, they're just like, okay, he's just saying that to make me feel better. But it doesn't make me feel better that I had to sit here and cook after a long day of work.
Sometimes you gotta
So it's like,
where's my goddamn dinner?
Keep it spicy, man. Keep that relationship spicy.
or I was thinking, after dinner's
so
done, like maybe a back rub.
So.
I mean, just thinking out loud here.
Have you guys seen that TikTok? The guy's like, "What's for dinner, bitch?"
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Here."
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm like, nope. I'd be like, you want to know what's for dinner? You really want to know? Not shit. But yeah, I think sometimes just, you can find different ways to appreciate each other too. Like, sometimes when I notice he's having a long day, just run him a bath. Hey, I got a bath ready for you. Why don't you go and take some quiet time?
No way.
Yeah. One time, I was having a really rough day. I
That's
was
crazy.
texting him all day, like, man, today is such a shitty day. I was like 7 months along in my pregnancy, super far along in my pregnancy, and I was just having a rough day. My feet were swollen. I just had enough, and I came home. This guy had a McFlurry and a cheeseburger just sitting there in the bathroom on a table, and I had a bath running, and I was like, I don't cry, but I almost did. Like, I was just so at ease because there was an M&M McFlurry just sitting there for me. And, I'm pregnant and I'm hungry, and it's a hot bath, and I love those. But you just
cool.
gotta find other things to kind of appreciate each other, because sometimes just saying like, oh, thanks for making dinner, sometimes it's not enough.
Yeah, it's more than verbal. You gotta like take action.
For sure.
Yep. Sometimes you gotta
Show some real appreciation.
On a side note though, when she was pregnant, I woke up one night in the middle of the night and she's watching some romantic movie and she was crying. She's like, no. And I'm like, I woke up and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, are you crying?
Not the best time in my life. I'm not a super emotional person. Like, honestly, I am happy or I'm angry. Like, a lot of times there's no in between. Like, he'll be the first to tell you. It's either I'm happy or I'm like extremely upset, and it's really hard for me to show emotion, and when I do, like, it's really weird, and everyone probably feels awkward because they're just not used to it. But I was just, watching a movie, and the guy's like got cancer, and he's about to just like off himself so that his family doesn't have to worry about taking care of all the stuff after he's gone, and he was about to just do it in the ocean, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that shit is sad,
Yeah.
So I was like,
I cry when I watch movies.
and I was eating trail mix, and
All
it was
the
just,
time. That's normal for me.
Yeah, that's his thing.
It was weird
Yeah,
for me, for
it's
sure.
weird. I don't know why.
I regret it.
That you did it or that he caught you?
Definitely that I did it. After that, I was like, all right, yeah, this is getting weird. Let me go get some ice cream. Like, do you want some ice cream? Change the subject. But I think that's another thing too, is recognizing who you are and always trying every day to try and better yourself for not only yourself but your partner. Because I mean, like I said, I have two moods: happy or like extremely pissed. Like, there's really no in between. I don't feel like sometimes I get really worked up. But he recognizes that, and yeah, sometimes he'll egg it on because he thinks it's funny to just try and get me, as angry as he possibly can, I think, sometimes. But other times he's like, okay, clearly we've hit a point where we're not getting anywhere. So he'll take a step back, and then I'll sit there and I'll continue. So you got anything to say?
Kind of like egging it on almost.
Yeah, like, fight me. Freaking square up.
Shit.
But he'll just sit there like, and then it makes me almost more upset. So I think he does that on purpose, maybe. But then it makes me laugh. So that's kind of weird.
Have you ever laughed, cried?
Yeah,
Like
if
laugh
you've never
so
seen
hard
it,
that you've cried.
you will.
No, dude. I'm weird. Like, I've cried so bad before that I just start laughing.
She's like.
I'm a weirdo.
I'm like,
No,
babe, I can't
say that I have.
Crying or if you're happy.
I've gotten so angry to the point where I've gotten so angry to the point where I've cried, and then I get more mad that I'm crying, and I'm like, stop! You suck this up. Stop that crying. I blame it on my childhood. I fell off my bike, was bleeding out. My mom was like, if you start crying, I'm gonna beat your ass. So, I mean, it is what it is.
I swear to God, that's how my mom was.
I'm like,
I fell on my ass after
just
riding
gotta
my bike one
compose
time.
yourself.
And my mom yelled at me.
Get
out of the road! I'm
like, just laying there dying.
Yeah.
Mexican moms.
I know. Seriously.
I just think about all my white friends. Their moms would be helping them right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Alright, guys. Let's get to the nitty gritty. How do you keep the sex life exciting? How do you keep the cat purring? I mean, for real.
You want to take this point on this, or you want me to go ahead?
I'll let you start. You're the guest. So.
All right. Well, honestly,
She's like, hey.
I feel like you really have to learn, just like you have to learn your partner in every other aspect, their trust, their communication, their love language. You have to also learn their sex language. You have to start learning what they do like, what they don't like, but also communicating what you like, what you don't like, what's going to be pleasurable for you. Learn each other's bodies, learn each other's kinks, and just be really open-minded and willing to kind of try whatever. Like, sometimes, if nothing else, it's fun. You start trying something else and you're like, yeah, no, this is not for me. Like, what are we doing? And it just, you laugh it off because it's funny. And at least you got out there and you tried it,
Yeah.
And you tried it with the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, or the person that you're already on that track of spending the rest of your life with. And it becomes a memory, becomes a fun, thing that you guys can kind of escape together and do together. So, yeah, we do a lot of things sexually to keep it going.
So from a male's perspective on it, I think that you have to grow to the point where you become unselfish sexually. Because most of the time as a guy, you have sex so you can bust a nut, then you're done. Right? I mean, like, that's the end all be all. But I think to, like, fully kind of come full circle in a relationship.
No pun intended.
But to come full circle in a relationship sexually, like, as a guy, you have to be you have to be the most unselfish person sexually in order to, I think, have a good balance there. So, like, for me, it's like sex has gotten to the point where it's like I don't even really, like, enjoy the sex part. Like, that sounds weird, but Like I enjoy it, but like, you know what I mean? Like before it was like
basically you're saying you don't enjoy what's at face value, like it's more than that to you now. Is that kind of what you're saying?
kind of like it's just like it's not about like, oh boy, I get in there and it's like, okay, this feels good, boom, bust a nut, and I'm like, all right, done, time for bed. You know what I mean? Where it's like at this point it's like the
He's gonna make me a sandwich afterwards.
not that, but like the enjoyment it comes from like satisfying her over me getting satisfaction for myself. So like, you know what I mean? Like I still want to be able to bust a nut, but like I would rather her get off than me. You know what I mean? So it's like
Gives him a sense of fulfillment or accomplishment that he has.
like that's my get off now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my nut busting moment is like now it's like instead of actually busting a nut, like for me it's like the same. I get that same feeling from getting her off versus me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said, you have to get to a point where you're extremely unselfish with sex. So, and then it's like you said, you got to find your kink. You got to find your thing. You know, and you have to be open to all these different things. And I think you have to research things, and you got to find the right thing for yourself. So like, you know, because like when we first got together, it was like you start having sex, and then it's just sex, right? You're just doing normal sex. You're doing different positions, but like I just don't think that's enough to keep a relationship going by just doing the same old sex moves, doggy, missionary. You know what I mean? Like you have to do more. So it's like you have to explore, whether it's sex toys, dive into stuff like things like, you know, like BDSM, you know, look into that kind of stuff, bondage. I forgot what it's called, but
And what is BDSM for those of you who don't know?
it's basically like a hardcore bondage, pretty much what it is. So, like, there's different levels to it too. Like, some people's get-offs are like, they like to like literally like tie your partner up, whether it's a girl or guy. They like to tie them up, and like literally they get off on seeing their partner tied up. Like that's their get-off. Sometimes they don't even have sex. Like they just tie their partner up. They do all this like fancy rope trick, and all these fancy knots, and that's their get-off.
So. That's it. They busting up right as soon as that last knot is tied. Oh! Yeah.
But like,
yeah, that's weird.
like,
both of them at the same time.
But I mean, like you find some weird stuff out there. Like, you know what I mean? Like in my research, like I found people who like this dude gets off on like making his girl dress up as a horse and literally like pulling him around.
What?
Like pulling him around, like as if he was a horse pulling his sleigh or whatever. And that's his get off. He gets off on her dressing up like a horse and then pulling him around. It's weird.
Whoa, man. That's okay. Well, you know what? That's one end of the spectrum for some people, and it's
but that's what I'm saying is like
else.
it sounds weird to a common person, but like for like when I look at it, I don't look at it as weird. Like not that I'm into it because you know I'm not into that, but like I don't look at it as weird because you get to this point where it's like that's his get off. If that's what he gets off at, by all means, like you know that works for your relationship. Perfect. Your girl's happy with it. You're happy with it. Sweet. Like it's a.
She likes being a horse.
And it's some people do, dude. Like
I like how you say that.
Some people like to fuck horses, like literally. You know.
Yeah,
like,
that's.
And I think it's a little strange. Like it's not my cup of tea, but like that's their get off. So.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I mean if we're getting into like crazy shit, I mean, you ever seen the movie Jackass? Didn't they have like an episode where they literally like jacked off a horse, and one of them they made a bet to drink the horse. Did you guys ever watch that?
I've never seen that, but
yeah, dude, like people do crazy stuff, but I think that's like whole other level.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, the point I'm getting at is it's like if it works for you as a couple, then it shouldn't matter. Like,
like don't not do what you're looking for or do what you're wanting because of fear of being judged by other people. Like, another thing that keeps this going is, you know, for me and Alex, I mean, we're pretty open about our sex life, but like if we have personal issues or like any kind of frustration with each other, we keep it in each other. We keep it within. That's not
We keep
perverted.
it in each other.
I'm mad.
Like, I want to make a point. Like, we really keep it in each other.
We keep it within just our circle. So we don't
her
go,
circle.
you know, telling everybody our problems and telling everyone, you know, our issues. I feel like that's the same thing what he's trying to get about with your sex life is like, hey, if it works for you, it's no one's business. No one's business at all. Like,
You just have to be open. Like, if
and
there's
be
gonna
open
be
to
somebody
your
you're gonna-
partner's like suggestions too, because like, I mean, I saw this thing on TikTok. You get all this inspiration from so many different places. I saw this thing on TikTok that was like, you know, you ever want to be with your partner and have sex on this canvas, but paint your bodies or cover your bodies in paint and then have sex on a canvas and then hang it up on your wall in your house. Like, imagine that'd be kind of cool. And then people are like, hey, that's a cool painting. And then it's like, we know, but they don't know.
Who's the artist?
So I told him that earlier, and he was just
You're
like,
like some
I'd be down.
rich guy.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, I'm the artist, and I use a special brush.
But it's things like that, you know, we see these new things where we feel like, hey, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be something interesting to try together. And I'm open enough to discuss that with him and say, let's try this. And he's like open enough to be like, let's fucking do it. Say no more. You know? You just have to be open to each other's suggestions, open to trying new things. I mean, we've kind of done a couple things together. Like, me personally, I never understood like watching porn. I never really understood it, or like I just get awkward about things. So I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, what is he doing? Like, oh my god. Like, it's more of like a educational for me, more so than it's not really a get off. Yeah. And I'm just like, if it's quiet and we're both sitting here and we're just watching porn, then I'm just like, this is kind of getting a little bit awkward. But, you know, a lot of people are extremely against porn. I feel like in the beginning I felt like, well, why do you need to watch porn if you have me? Why would you watch porn if, like, it feels like you're betraying me in some way?
Almost like, why would you watch it when like you have it like right in front of you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like, maybe at that point, you didn't feel like you could be like, hey, look at this porn, we should do this. You know, you're not open sexually enough in your relationship where you're like, hey, dude, come look at this. Like, look at this porn that I'm watching. Should we try this? You know, you're not going to do that. Like, well, a guy's honestly going to go to their girl and do that. You know what I mean? They're not open enough to be like, I saw this thing in a porn. We should watch porn together. But a lot of people are like, okay, are you looking at the other girls in the porn? Like, because that's disrespectful towards me. Versus maybe you're looking at that girl in the porn and you're imagining that it's me. You're not looking at the girl. You're, you know, with sex you have to use your imagination a lot, I assume, when you're masturbating. And I think that a lot of times it's like, okay, like, is he looking at that girl because he thinks she's attractive? Like, nah, that girl's fucking ugly. So it's like, okay, he's pretending like that's me, and in his mind, he's doing that to me, you know? And you gotta think about it as a different perspective, but I also think that a lot of guys try and hide it. They go about it in a disrespectful way. They, you know, why don't you be like, let's watch porn together? He was probably surprised. I was just like, we should watch a porn together. I've never watched porn before. We're already like married, getting up there almost to our 30s, and I'm like, I've never seen porn before. Like, okay, I've seen like 50 Shades of Grey, 365, those kinds of movies, but I've never actually sat down and watched like a porno. So I told him, I was like, we should watch porn together. And then, you know, one of the funniest experiences of our life, like, or at least of mine, then we're started surfing and I was like, what is this? It's like nutsack boxing. And I was like, what?
What the fuck?
You start exploring, like, people are into some weird stuff. But it was a funny experience because I got to sit there and share my first experience with him, and we laughed about it, and, you know, maybe that made him feel more comfortable where he could be like, we should try this, this, and this. And more open to the fact that I was open to watching porn together. Me personally, and I think he probably knows this, if he was watching porn without me, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, why? For what reason? You know? Like, he wants to question what I'm buying and all that. I want to question, why are you watching porn without me? For what reason? When did you do it? Where did you do it?
You gotta justify it.
Yeah,
Well, I
exactly.
think that comes with, like you said, you just have to be like that kind of open,
Yeah.
and don't judge anything until you've actually tried it yourself. Right? Like had never tried watching porn. You tried it. You found out it's not really our thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we don't really get off on it unless we're looking for a good kick for a laugh or something. You know.
And it always is a good laugh. Like, it's, you know, a good time. We can sit there and have a good time and laugh together about it.
Because when you think nutsack boxing, it's literally what it is. Nutsack boxing. Some girl was wearing boxing gloves. Literally just, you know, the deal like, with someone's nuts. That's.
You have to be for
Like I said,
real,
some
open
people
to
are into that
anything.
stuff, and it's like, you know what, that's not my thing. I would like get my nuts drilled like
But it
that.
Yeah. No thanks.
Like, you know, there is a thing where it's like some guys or some girls are into like pain. Like they literally want you to like literally hurt them. And it's fucking crazy, dude.
Just
You know what I mean? Like, there's some girls that want you to literally choke them out. Like not playful choke, like fucking choke them out.
yeah.
Like fucking face turns blue, like it's pretty intense.
It's a little bit weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
imagine you're just laying there and you're
Or
like,
if you're DJ, you know, you want a girl to sock you up a little bit,
yeah.
test out them 1-2 punches on you while you're getting it. So,
But it's just that too, like, you know, if he's like, we should try this, be open to it. If she wants to be like, hey, let's try this, be open to it.
like if he wants to eat ass, be open to it.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, there's a lot of like medical things that could go wrong. You could get infection. You could get C. diff from eating that.
You can get what?
C. diff.
What the hell is that?
It's just a infection. Almost imagine like literally eating feces. Like you're gonna get sick.
Ew.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So just take a saran wrap and just.
I'm serious, dude. Like
We watched
we were
the
in
video.
Vegas, and I was like, how like YouTube like eating ass or how do you?
Because
eat
I'm
ass and all
like,
that shit.
extremely against it. I'm like, no.
And
Like,
this lady's
that's
like,
gross.
if you really want to eat ass and not worry about having to get infections, get some saran wrap.
And then she started making weird things with her tongue, like,
she's all imitating this saran wrap, like.
and see, like that. Like, he could watch that video, and, like, I didn't get offended by any way. I just freaking laughed, because I was like, what is that lady doing with that saran wrap?
Yeah, but I think you can buy kits for it. Like, don't they have like anal, like, what is it called?
I would
Enemas?
assume so.
Enema kits that clean it, that supposedly like make it safe to be able to do something
Probably, yeah, I
Yeah.
assume so.
Yeah, they do.
like that. Yeah. Never done it yet, but you guys fucking like this guy's done it.
He knows all about it.
There's just, you know, there's a lot of things that you just have to stay open to, like,
Sometimes you gotta take your own advice. You know?
Eat ass?
You just gotta be open to eating ass.
Yeah.
I'm open to the discussion about anything. Now, the actual action of it, sometimes I'm like, that's a hard
Yeah, it
pass
sounds
for
like
me.
Yvonne has experience.
Just gotta get an enema. Yeah.
But, yeah, I think definitely, you know, spicing it up, trying new things. And it starts with communicating with each other. Like, before you start jumping into it and just doing everything, you know, sometimes it's kind of nice to just be like, you know, when he's like, let me take care of you tonight. And then we both get our happy ending, you know? Or I'm like, you know what do you want tonight? You want me to rub your back? You want me to do this? You want me to rub your back before our foreplay, or you want me to just rub your back so you can go to bed, or you want to just jump straight into the foreplay. What do you want? Like, you sit there and think about what you're desiring tonight, and he does the same for me, where it's like, you know, we kind of drop these hints all day long about like what we're looking forward to, and we communicate it openly, and I feel like we've never had an issue openly communicating what we want out of sex, or what we enjoy, or what's our favorite, or new things we could try, and just being able to talk to me about it, because I feel like a lot of times, like, the stuff he probably says to me, I feel like that's probably exactly what he would probably say to just, you know, the group of guys just shooting the shit. He would probably say that, you know, to all his guy friends, and not necessarily you would think he would come home and tell his wife that. But he does. And I listen to it and I'm like, let's do it. We're young.
So how many times a week you guys hit the sack? I mean, like,
Average.
because there's statistics that say it's like average person or average couple is like once a week.
Nah.
But
So-
like, is that, how accurate are those
Like-
things
How
anyways? Like,
about we reverse the question? Let's ask you guys. How many times a week do you think someone who's been married for 10 years should be doing it a week? Or would you, how much would you think? Good answer, Coda. I love it.
So like, I guess I'm gonna base my opinion based on like what I've seen on the internet, and you see a bunch of different stuff. But I also like take into consideration. It seems like the most common answer is like 1 to 2, maybe 3 times a week. Is what they say is average, but statistics are based on a certain amount of people that are taking these surveys, and I think with divorce rates being as high as they are, if people's sex lives aren't great, why are they going to take the survey? They're probably not going to. So if that's average for these statistics based on people that are actually taking the survey, I assume it's probably actually a lot lower for most couples. So most couples in reality probably aren't even doing it once a week. You know what I
So
mean?
you're gonna say
So I don't think
Like, if
I
you
don't think
didn't
that's
know
good
us,
though. I
like,
think
if you didn't know us, how many times do you think, just throw a number out there, that you would think someone that's been together for almost 11 years, how many times do you think weekly they would do it?
so. How many times I think you guys do it?
No.
If you
If
didn't
you
know
didn't
that.
know us.
If okay, so if I didn't know
if
you
just looked at
guys,
us at face value, you've been together for 11 years and you've been married for 6 years. Based off that knowledge, how many times do you think we would do it a week?
I'm gonna base it on like. I'm not gonna like say any names or nothing, but just. Dude, honestly, I think after 10 years, it'd probably be like once a month or something.
Once a month?
Holy shit. You know, that's probably why divorce rates are so high. Because, you know, yeah, it's definitely not once a month. More like you get 1 day off a week. 1 day off a week.
I
Not
would
quite
say-
that much,
I would
but
say
it just
we
depends.
are at 4 to 5 a week, depending on what happens.
Yeah.
Because if we go more into it, like we do like an intense, you know what I mean, like an intense sex session, you know what I mean, where it's like there's tie-ups, there's a lot more foreplay involved.
Mhm.
It's probably a little less because she needs more recovery time. But like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, hey, she wasn't at work on Wednesday for a reason. She had to call in. Right?
He's breaking that back. There's no one I'd rather have deep dicking me at night.
So,
Served her up some
Yeah, I
some
was
hot and
thinking,
ready
like,
deep
40
dish.
Yeah, no, I already had Wednesday off. But I
would've-
was
she
gonna
would've
use my
called
day
in.
off constructively. But yeah, I would say 4 to 5 is pretty fair, and it, you know, it depends too. Just, you know.
like I said, sometimes it's every day a week. Sometimes it's a little less because if we're doing more like intense
Mhm.
sex sessions, you have to pull back a little bit. Because I mean, I feel like I could do it 7 days a week, a couple times, twice a day. But you know what I mean? But like physically, she can't do that. She can't hang with me, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
She can't hang. No, honestly, dude, I think you guys are an exception. I do think age plays a factor in it too, because like I kind of base my opinion on like, I guess people that have been together for like a really long time, like that are older too. Because I don't know a whole bunch of people that are like, I don't personally know a whole bunch of people in our age group that have been together that long. Yeah. So I just kind of base it on what I've seen, I guess. But
well,
I definitely think you guys are an exception though.
Yeah, and like, I think that it's because of our open communication. Because I don't want to be that older couple that is like scheduling when we're gonna have sex weekly. I don't want to be that older couple that, you know, doesn't spontaneously bust a quickie or something like that. You know, I don't want to be that older couple that all of a sudden it's once a month. Like, no, having sex has some serious health benefits for both of us. It's fun.
You have to make it a priority.
I
think the physical part of your relationship is just as important as emotional.
100%.
As much as you should emotionally support somebody and you should emotionally be there for them and love them and do all that stuff.
You should support
you have to physically fuck the shit out of them. You know what I'm saying? So, like that's, to me that's just as important, if not more important.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people start getting into this groove, you know, a lot of times too after having kids, you know, or both of you are working full-time jobs, then you have a kid, you have another kid. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, we don't have time. Find time. Make time. You're too tired because you have to go to work in the morning? Like, no. Wake your ass up. Like, it is a priority. Like, make me feel wanted and I want to make you feel wanted. And just being that connected to your partner to the point where, you know, you are attracted to them and you do want to, you know, that's what you see all day when you're looking at them, like. And it's not only, you know, just looks. It's like, man, you did the dishes. Like, you know you're about to get it. 100%. Like, what? You picked up the kids at dinner? You know, do all these things that you start looking at them as, like, attractive. Like you were saying, you know, your girlfriend, your fiance, she cooks dinner. Like, God, that is so goddamn attractive. Now you don't have to cook dinner. You know?
I made dinner tonight.
Oh, for real?
I sat at the table and he cooked me dinner. Was it ramen noodles? Maybe. But I was like,
was
oh my
it a
gosh,
microwave
like he's sitting here trying to do something for me. So that I don't have to do it. And that to me is attractive. All these little actions he does for me, for my benefit, that's attractive.
It was about how I cooked it.
And I mean, the beard definitely doesn't hurt.
Put it in the microwave and I was like,
Yeah, you know, just the way he flexes, that's what really gets me. And then like the beard, for sure.
Absolutely.
The humor, like there's so many different ways you can be attracted to someone, not only looks. The looks definitely help, for sure. But it's not only that, and it's thinking about that, you know, and thinking about I want to do something for them. That's also, I mean, what's the hurt in it? It's going to benefit you too.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys got it figured out.
Yeah.
Straight up, like that's pretty awesome. I think a lot of people could probably watch this and they're probably going to be thinking the same thing, like, holy shit, these guys are like fuckaholics.
I think we just really have it down to a science, because it's like, you know, there was one time, like, I think probably after we had our first child, like, we were both like, oh, God, we're just really tired. Like, we're just wiped. We're so tired. We're just laying there and we're just like, should we just do it tomorrow instead? And he's like, yeah, we're both just super tired. Let's just get... And I was like, you know what? No. I was like, let's stop. I was like, you know, we're young. If we start getting into this habit now of we're too tired, then it's going to become a habit and we're going to be too tired all the time. And we're not going to make time for each other. And we're not going to, you know, connect sexually. Because we do just fine connecting, you know, emotionally and, you know, everything like that. I feel like we're always on the same page, and if one of us is not on the same page, we wait until the other one is to that page. I think there's a movie that says, you know, one of us can't be on a bicycle path while the other one's on the freeway. And it's so true, you can't. So you need to either slow down to get to that person's level and push them forward so you can both be on the freeway, or that other person needs to be like, hey, hang on a second, like I'm catching up, or, you know, slow down or hurry up and speed up. Yeah. And I feel like we always try and make sure we're on the same page. And as soon as I said that too, like, I saw my whole life flash like before my eyes, and I was like, if we're tired now, are we gonna be always tired? Like you start doubting yourself too. Like, okay, if he's too tired, like, maybe I'm not as attractive today. Like, maybe I should have tried a little bit harder. And you start doubting yourself, and you know, all these little quiet insecurities that you didn't think you had start coming out quite a bit. And you're like, man, I know I haven't lost the baby weight, or man, we've been eating Little Caesars a lot. Like, I put on some pounds, and it's like, maybe he's not really tired. Maybe he just isn't attracted. Or, you know, so then it's like, no, fuck that. I'm not having that. So I'm like, listen, we're young. You're going to wake your ass up is what you're going to do. I'm awake. You're awake now. And knowing, too, that, you know, you can be, like, there's never a time, like he said it before, sometimes if I'm like, man, it was a long day, like, I'm so tired, I only got, like, 2 hours of sleep last night, he automatically thinks I'm giving off this vibe of, like, it's not happening tonight. But you know, you have to make it clear, like, I don't care how tired I am, I'm always ready. You ready? Because I'm ready. You know, and just making that very known of, like, yeah, sometimes it means I'm going to be extra tired the next day. But hey, it was worth it, for sure. Especially after you get off, you're like, this was worth it. Now I'm going to get a good night's sleep.
Well, sometimes it's
That's
like,
true.
it's being on the same page too, where it's like communicating, where it's like, hey, so like, if you're wearing granny panties to bed, I'm taking it as a sign of like, I'm going to bed tonight. But you know what I mean? But it's like, hey, if we get up in the morning, you got that G-string on, you're getting fucked. Plain and simple. You know what I mean?
You got fair
so
warning.
like, this is your warning. So you know what I mean? Choose wisely what you're gonna wear to work today. So it's like that kind of thing. So it's like,
Oh shit.
or it's like if I'm, you know, she goes to bed.
Choose wisely.
Like if she goes to bed, it's like if you're wearing sexy underwear to bed, just know you're getting woken up. Right? So, but it's like it's just that, and then it's just.
Well, I think sometimes communicating that too, because he used to look at it as like, man, you're wearing those cheeky boy short underwears. That means she probably doesn't want it. But I was just like, nah, that's just the only underwears I had left. So yeah, definitely come fill me. You can fill me up anytime I'm asleep. And just telling, because sometimes too he'll be like, like it's kind of weird after you're already asleep and whatever. But I'm like, you know, I make it very clear. I'm always down. I know he's always down. So it's like.
Mm-hmm. And then just make games out of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So like sometimes, like throughout the day, especially when we have days off, we'll just sit there and like mess around with each other all day. Like she'll eat an ice cream and she'll just like, you know, and I'm just sitting over there like, and then I'm like, all right, so how am I gonna get back? And then like, you know what I mean, like. I'll just do like the whole thing of workout, and then I'll come upstairs after I took like a pump workout, so I'm looking fucking thick, you know what I mean? Veins popping out your arms. And you do that thing where you like go to fill up the fridge and you're just like looking at the corner of your eye, flexing a little bit on the arms. And you're just like,
And I'm
you know
just
what I
over
mean?
here like, oh hey, what are you doing?
Yep.
And then I'll be like, oh, I think I'm gonna get in the shower. Just can you take this to the laundry basket for me? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys, your relationship is quite inspirational. Probably for a lot of people watching this too.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
You gotta keep it playful, you know? And remember, we are young. Even when we're in our 50s, still be playful with each other like you are young. You know, don't forget those little things that, I mean, really make you and make your relationship succeed. all those little things that you think like, oh, it'll be fine, like, eventually it's not going to be fine. Eventually you're going to be like, man, I miss, 30 plus years ago when we used to play around and I used to just depants you as a joke or grope you or, just be playful with each other and just really have fun with it. And sometimes it's a lot of fun. Most times, actually.
All right, so I think you guys have made a lot of strong points. If we had to pick 5 things, what would you pick to keep relationships like rock steady?
I would definitely say, communication for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the foundation of everything.
Sure.
Trust. Definitely you have to have trust in each other, and you have to make sure that you can trust, that you can depend on each other. Being on the same page financially for sure. You can't, especially when there's 2 incomes involved, like you can't control everything your partner's doing. But your partner should be able to realize like there has to be some kind of give and take. Mm-hmm. Just making sure you guys are in agreement on that and what you can and can't do. What else do you think?
Sex.
Definitely sex.
Physical.
Definitely got to make sure to, keep it interesting, keep it spicy, keep it fun, be playful. The other one is making sure that you're finding a balance between being selfish and selfless. You got to make sure, you're not being too selfish to the point where you forget completely about the other person, and you can't be so selfless that you're not taking care of yourself first anymore.
Right.
So, probably, was that 5?
Yep.
Yeah?
That's fine.
Is that all 5 right there?
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Yeah.
There it is.
Well, there you have it, guys. Don't take my word for it. You heard it for yourselves. So these guys, they know what they're doing, and clearly they're keeping their relationship rocking. Like what's that term people say in the bed? Like you got the
Like solid, like a bone.
There you go. All right, guys. So there you have it. Once again, let us know if there's any advice you guys have, or maybe something you guys do in your relationship that you think would help anyone, and maybe we can mention that in another episode that's related to these type of topics. Comment below, like and subscribe, and thanks again, Fal, for being our special guest today.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, this is what we talk about. We'll see you on the next episode. Releases every Friday at 7 p.m. Thanks.